Hello and welcome to Entirely English. And today we are responding to a question one of my regular subscribers and contributors, Stuart, posed. Hi, Stuart. And that is why we say cheese when we're having our photographs taken. So it's a really good question. And to understand it, we have to go back. Now, we had camera obscuras.
Dr. Reeves's residence? Oh, good morning, Miss June. Yes, isn't it? The doctor's up in his thing, you know, his camera obscura.
I love looking at the village from here. It looks so different.
People understood light and they didn't understand how to capture the image. And then in 1826, excuse my pronunciation, Nepci produced the world's first permanent photograph using a pewter plate covered in bitumen of Judea. Now, that was very clever, but for the light to set, the image to set on this plate took about 8 hours. So you're not going to be posing for that long. Fine for pictures of your house, dead bodies, whatever. But then in 1839, Louis Daguerre developed the first commercially applicable photographic process. And that reduced the exposure time, that's the amount of time light goes onto the film, to minutes rather than hours. Why is this important when we're talking about saying cheese? Well, bear with me and you'll understand. So these original plates, they were called glass plates, originally metal plates, then glass plates, were coated in silver bromide. And as I said, it could take several minutes to gain the exposure. So that was developed with lenses and flash photography and so forth. But for the exposure, it could take around about 30 seconds for the image of the person to set on the film. Doesn't sound very long, but you sit there trying to hold the same smile for 30 seconds. Just try it. To pause the video, I'm not going to sit here for 30 seconds waiting for you. Just hold a smile perfectly still for 30 seconds. Now, I don't know how you got on with that, but imagine you have to hold your pose perfectly still for 30 seconds as well. Any slightest movement, any twitch is going to blur the image. The models, the people having their photographs taken, had to be in poses they could hold comfortably for the amount of time the film was exposed for. And it's not just that 30 seconds either. There's the whole preparatory time before it. So the photographer had to set up the camera, get the angles right, then get you in position, test the light, check the exposure, go under the hood because the film had to be kept in darkness, check the image, come back out, adjust you if need be, check the light, adjust the lens. That could all take minutes. And in that time, you're expected to hold the pose that you're going to be photographed in because that's what the light exposure and all these measurements were for, to get it exactly right. And then you've got these 30 seconds or more sitting there holding that pose. So people chose to have not exactly dour, depressed expressions, but just very neutral faces. And you'll notice in old photographs, they're always leaning against something, sitting, standing, like family portrait, man standing with his wife, hand on her shoulder, which was essentially not a dominating thing, like some people would claim. It was to keep his balance, to hold that position for all that time. And it didn't seem strange to people because think for centuries, millennia before that, people had sat still for portraits and they had to keep the pose for the artist. So people were used to this idea and they would endure it because this was an expensive thing as well. You wanted your family portrait, you saved up for it, and you only wanted to take that photograph once because it was a lot of cash. Now, people say in the 1940s, the commercials, the adverts in newspapers with people smiling, promoting toothpaste, for example, started this idea of smiling for the camera. That may be true. What is definitely true is that Kodak released the box brownie camera. This was an inexpensive camera people could use at home themselves. And they promoted it, encouraging people to take photographs, snapshots, as they became called, of birthday parties, their weddings, school photographs, people having a good time. And the smile obviously became a natural feature of those photographs. When you're posing somebody, asking them to smile is quite difficult. What do they do? And different people have different ideas about ways to make people smile, doing silly faces behind the camera, whatever. Former US Ambassador Joseph E. Davies is accredited with popularizing the idea of saying cheese. Nobody knows who exactly came up with the idea, but he popularized it. The word cheese, when you emphasize it, causes the mouth to widen, causes the lips to draw back from the teeth, lightens the eyes. Cheese, it's a very, when you emphasize it, a very expressive word, and it creates a kind of natural smile. And that's why we say cheese, just to create that artificial smile, like people are having fun, a portrait. And obviously you can cheese, big one, cheese, small one, and change the emphasis to change the smile. Obviously that works in English. What about in your language, your country? Do you have a word which causes that smile to appear? In France, saying fromage wouldn't work. So do you say cheese, or do you have a native word which causes that big grin? Let us know in the comments. If you can write it phonetically in English, that would be helpful, so we can see how it creates the smile. If you write it in hieroglyphics or something, we're not going to know. Okay, so if you can do that for us. I hope this was informative, and I hope it made you smile. See you again soon. Bye bye.